Hi, so this is CRife's Holistic Nutrition, and today I'm so excited to be with Mayhew, and he's a really passionate man, and he has something really awesome to share with the holistic community, and I'm really excited to be a part of him sharing this. We're going to take a look at what's going on, and then we're going to take a few minutes to talk with what he can tell us what's going on too. So let's take a tour. Let's see what's going on here. So we have wild Gulf shrimp. How many people have seen wild Gulf shrimp in an ambulance? One of the really cool things about this ambulance is that it's holding something that is priceless. This is a freezer that allows transport wild caught fish and also wild caught shrimp. And I'm really excited because there's some really awesome things to be told that just seeing this vehicle won't explain. I want you to talk about your business. Tell us what the name of your business is.
Thank you, Courtney. I appreciate you coming and interviewing me, and especially on such a nice day.
It is a nice day.
I'm Rob Mayhew, owner of Mayhew's Market. My son and I, Mitch, we are partners in this. We started this last July 2019, and we go down to Florida to get wild shrimp, and now we've just recently been able to add wild fishes. I think about the last month, something like that.
That's really cool.
We've wanted to do that, but now we actually have a vehicle, a reefer truck. We bought a used reefer truck from Penske that allows us to bring back not only a greater quantity, but more variety of things.
Mm-hmm.
So we are very much into wild caught. Our whole philosophy is we don't do farm.
Mm-hmm.
Not with our beef, our pork, our poultry, or seafood. It's Mother Nature has worked out all the kinks, all the bugs. We figure they know what they want to eat.
Mm-hmm.
They know what's best for them. And like the old saying goes, which there's a little addition to that I heard just recently, is that you are what you eat is not entirely correct. So you are what you eats.
I love that.
So,
you are what you eat.
Eats. Yes.
Okay.
So if your protein source, animal type, seafood type, is, and it's not a blanket statement, there are some farming operations, I'm sure they're very compliant,
Mm-hmm.
they're very conscientious, but with seafood specifically, about 90% of it is imported, most of which is farmed from other countries where we have no oversight.
Mm-hmm.
And if you YouTube Norway salmon, just to give you a couple examples, British Columbia salmon, you probably won't eat salmon ever again in your life. There are some very unscrupulous farming practices out there, more so in other countries. The FDA tries very hard, and I think there's, in the States, compared to the rest of the world, a much greater compliance. But as well refined
Mm-hmm.
as a farming operation may be in the States, you just can't beat wild.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfected. They're out. The fish and the shrimp, they're swimming free in a huge ocean. They have to go after their own food,
Mm-hmm.
which requires exercise
Mm-hmm.
and work. They flee predators, so they're building Oh my gosh. I mean, it's just like us, you know, when we're active and not sedentary, our cardiovascular system, our muscles, our everything, and our minds, these are wild. And there's no comparison from my experience in the flavor, the taste between farmed and wild. The textures are different. With wild, there's actual texture. It's not like mushy, you know? And the nutrient profile.
I've had mushy too.
Oh, yes, and it's not supposed to be.
Okay.
And the nutrient profile, oh my gosh, shrimp is like depending on what you read, the 6th to 8th best source of protein, bar none. It is so nutrient dense, and it only requires 4 ounces. I think the numbers with 4 ounces, you get, now I don't remember, I'm sorry, I apologize. You can easily get your entire day's worth of recommended daily protein intake from either 4 or 8 ounces of shrimp.
Oh, wow.
Selenium, you're going to be over what you need for selenium, and I believe it's B12. But from wild caught shrimp, the nutritional profile, the nutrient list, and we have that posted on our website at mayhewsmarket.com. It is just, it's mind-boggling. And you can consume a small amount and get a very large percent of your daily requirements. And had a lady come up, a customer, she had a gastric bypass done. And she was explaining that to me, and those folks, they don't eat, they eat little bits throughout the day, not a big meal at one sitting. And she said, this is perfect. She can get, unquestionably, she can get all her protein requirements and so much other, as far as vitamins, minerals, trace minerals, healthy fats. The omega-3, omega-6 ratio is a 1-to-1, which in today's, in the United States, with all our processed food, we are very high, disproportionately high in omega-6 compared to omega-3, and that omega-6 is very inflammatory, and that's a domino effect of negative consequences with our body, health-wise, systemically, our mind. I mean, that expression brain fog, that comes into play. And what's surprising, we found out, is that some of the worst offenders are soy and corn byproducts for omega-6s. So we need to try to get the balance. It's so askew. We need to try to get that balance, like everything in life, in nature, in the wild. There's a balance that has to be attained. And it's never going to be perfect, but we need to at least try, you know, some conscious effort in doing so. And wild seafood is a very good source of a very nice balance between omega-3 and omega-6. Now, going back to you are what you eat eats. If you're buying beef,
go back to that, because I think that's something that's important. So explain that a little more.
well, if you, for beef, for example, if you consume beef, they have like 7,000 stomachs for a reason, because they were meant to eat grass and just grass. And if you have beef, and yes, there is the argument, well, okay, yes, but then we fatten it with corn. Well, corn is very high. Corn and byproducts like soy are very high in omega-6. So if you are what you eat eats, you're consuming a lot of omega-6. Now, why don't you take that grass-fed beef and finish him out with flax seed? Flax seed is perfect omega-3, omega-6.
Okay.
Beautiful ratio. Finish them out if you want to finish them out. If you feel compelled to finish them out with flaxseed, not corn products, not soy products, because now you're adding that one detrimental, and I forgot the ratio. It's phenomenal. It's phenomenally high, the omega-6 compared to the 3 in both soy and corn.
I think that's really interesting that you even said that, because I've always noticed the relationship between corn and inflammation. And for me, eliminating a lot of the corn in my diet has also allowed me to rid myself of inflammation and also be able to have less chronic pain. And so that's so interesting
sense.
when you're talking about how, you know, what you feed.
And what is, I know in this country, well, not just in this country, but one of the first go-tos in a food source supplement for livestock is either soy or corn products. And wow, if you apply that "you are what you eat" eats, you're consuming a disproportionate amount of omega-6, that's already, oh my gosh, it's the amount of 6 we're getting in this country with all the processed food and all the corporate farming, whether it's cattle, pork, poultry, seafood. Hey, mama, it's too much. It's too much. Nature's got this down. Nature's got it perfected. So why not stick with it, you know?
I so agree, and that's something that just makes me excited. Like, let's stick with nature.
It's proven. And
it is.
Hippocrates, who's credited as being the father of Western medicine, and somehow between there and here, I think Western medicine has forgotten what he said when he said, "Let thy food be thy medicine." Not let thy chemicals be thy medicine. Food. If you eat right in the beginning, I'm calendar-wise, I'm 60 years old. I have no allergies. No allergies. Yeah, you'd have thought 75. I know. Well, I have no allergies. I take no medication.
That's so awesome.
But I do eat the protein sources that I eat. I know how they're raised. And the beef, raised on grass. The pork, they run around and root and eat grubs and do what pigs do. Same with the poultry. They eat all the little bugs, eat gravel to help them digest. Seafood, that's wild. We get that wild. And, as far as poultry, the eggs that you get. Now, if you get store-bought eggs, I don't know if you've noticed, those shells are very brittle and fragile, and the yolks are like yellow. My son has all types of poultry, chicken, duck, geese. He has pheasants, turkeys, and I get eggs from him. And his run around, except at night, they put them in the hen house so that, they don't get eaten or killed by fox or whatever. But his eggs, you have to hit them. Boom. You have to hit them to break that shell. And it's orange. And you can just smell it. It's so good. And then my son and I, we bust like 3-4 eggs in a cup, put milk in there, real milk. I didn't say that. Mix it up and down it. So yeah, I don't anticipate any allergies, having to take any type of medicine, because we let our food be our medicine. That's the old prescription from the guy who's credited to being the father of Western medicine. Let your food be your medicine, not chemicals. My philosophy, not only, it's his too. So
I think that's a beautiful outlook.
It's worked so far, and in doing so, there's something that has to be said. Because it's not just a physical feeling of wellness, but it does something to you mentally, because the calendar lies. The calendar says I'm 60. I am like 31 up here and here, because when you're healthy and when you can do things and when you have a passion for something in life, you never get old. You never grow old. Your body might get older, but you're not slowing down. You're not quitting. And I think if you eat good food, there isn't that so-called, like the term I've heard is brain fog. It just, everything's connected. Everything is interconnected.
That makes so much sense, especially when I read about the blue zones. And the blue zones are places where, they have done studies to show that certain people have lived the longest life, and not just like, living in a hospice, but living the longest life and being able to function within that life, like, still, herding goats and still helping raise their food and all of those things, and like, well in their 70s, 80s, even up until their 90s, and they're still doing these things. And the thing that they found that they all have in common is that they all eat a lot of vegetables, a lot of fruits, and then when it comes to their meat, they ate grass-fed meat, and they ate wild-caught fish and seafood, and they rate the stuff that they ate, they raised. And so when I hear you talking about this, it just excites me, because I'm like, you know what, the blue zone shouldn't just be these sporadic, just 7 or 8 places. The blue zone should be the entire, I think it's a little reversed. The blue zone should be the only places that maybe don't have the longevity of life, and then everywhere else should be living this holistic,
Yes. Absolutely.
idea of living.
And that affects your whole attitude. You know, when you're healthy and you have that independence, you're not chained to these drugs or to those drugs. And there are things genetic. I mean, there are things you can't help. But if you try to put forward a conscious effort into eating what I call real food, good food, and it's not just I don't believe it's just your philosophy on food, but I believe that philosophy carries over into other aspects of life. Just that the cows are free range, pork, free range, poultry, free range. That term could even be used for wild fish. They're free. And there's something about that concept of freedom. You are what you eat eats. You're eating something that has been free up until it was slaughtered, of course, but they're healthy. And you're putting healthy food into your body. And if your mindset is that of freedom and not of control, because where there's control, there's a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety, and that erodes your body so terribly.
And when you say that word stress, and when you say that word, what you eat, you are what you eats, and we talk about free range, do you think the stress from those animals also affect our stress?
It is, I forgot what is released. It's a hormone. I can't remember it. Somebody out there knows it, and they, it's this. I can't remember it. But if you're under constant stress, that hormone, it's good for a fight or flight situation. But if you're under constant stress and that hormone is constantly being secreted. My mom died from a descending aortic aneurysm. And I asked the doc, how does that happen? It was about a 6-inch perforation in her descending aorta. And I said, how does that happen? He goes, years of stress. And my daughter was with her in the hospital, and the surgeon said, we have you scheduled for surgery. You do nothing. Lay in that bed. If you have to go to the bathroom, push the button, the nurse will help you with the bedpan. Do nothing. Well, of course, my mom was in her 80s, old school. She is not about to be waited on. So she gets up in bed, flips her legs over the bed in the hospital, and just collapses back down. Because that exertion from her getting up ripped open that perforation in that descending aorta, and she just bled out that fast. Those animals, how much stress do you have when you're out and about, like what you're doing now? You love what you're doing.
Right.
You
right,
get to meet
right.
all kinds of people. No stress. This is fun.
Right,
Can you
right.
imagine the cattle, the hogs, the poultry, the fish? They're out there. They're free. This is fun. We're loving life. Little do they know they're going to get killed and eaten. But up until that point, they're loving life. Can you imagine those animals confined, shoulder to shoulder? Sort of like if we were in a camp, if we were in prison, and we were all together, and the stress that everybody has got to feel from being in such close quarters, such close proximity.
Right, right.
No exercise. What are they fed? Everything compounds. The stress level on those animals has got to be dumping that same hormone into them. So not only are they perhaps nutritionally deprived in what they're being fed, their bodies and minds are not being allowed to get exercise, get this free vitamin D from that guy up there, but the stress as well. I mean, it's just, it's a recipe for disaster. All the negative dominoes falling from that confinement, that controlled environment. That's not healthy.
It can't be.
Just like us, if we
It
were
can't.
in an environment like that, the stress that would induce on us.
I mean, even just the isolation that we've experienced from, the COVID.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of people talking about just that confinement, and we're not even confined in the same way.
No.
Confinement is some of our homes. That's confinement, but it has induced stress.
It has.
This conversation has been so delightful, and I
love
could
it.
literally go on forever and ever and ever. But, there are people who want to buy some of your products, and I want to let them, and I want other people, maybe you haven't heard of Mayhew's Market, but tell us just two things that you might want people to know about you and how we find you.
My son and I started this July 2019. We're from Osceola, Iowa, and we run down to Florida to get our everything. It's wild, primarily from the Atlantic, sometimes from the Gulf, and we bring it up here to sell it. We sell it at the Freight House Farmers Market in Davenport, so we take care of the Quad Cities. And at 980 73rd Street here in Windsor Heights, across from Sam's and Walmart. We're here every Friday, Saturday. Our winter hours are 11 to 5. And it's just, we have a passion for bringing real food to Iowa, a landlocked state. Obviously, we're not Florida or a coastal state where, we can get it anywhere, on the roadside even. So because we're landlocked, we felt like we deserve good stuff too, So that's our mission. We're very passionate about bringing the best we can find up to Iowa, not just nutritionally, taste and texture.
And that makes a difference too.
Very good.
And I've had the pleasure of having the red. Is it called Colossian?
The Royal Reds,
Royal
and
Reds.
then the Colossal and Jumbo are a different one.
So I had Royal Reds.
Yes.
And that was delicious.
They are very good. They are very good. Yes.
Are you on Facebook?
Yes. We have a Facebook, and we're also we have Mayhew's Market, www.mayhewsmarket.com, and those are updated every time we make a run when we bring something back. Primarily Facebook. If you want to do a follow on Facebook, before we leave Florida, we list what we're bringing back. So that way everybody knows, and the subscribers to our website, we also do a mass email and let them know what we're bringing back as well. And if there's any changes, like when we had to move from here to go downtown on 6th and Court because the pumpkin guy has like 27 bajillion pumpkins and took up the whole parking lot here. But now we're back on 73rd Street.
One more question to ask. Now, what makes this very special, this ambulance? Because I don't think like I could take my own vehicle and travel to Florida and come back with this quality and this amount of seafood, and wild caught in particularly. So,
Well, we don't use this anymore
okay.
for that purpose.
Mhm.
We got a used reefer truck, just a small 16-foot, 18-foot reefer truck. So that's what we use to commute back and forth to get the seafood now.
Mhm.
So we can bring a lot more back and more variety. With this, very limited, very limited. So hopefully this will cut down on the number of runs, save us some money there. But we'll see. So right now it's in the shop because it broke down again yesterday, but we're getting it fixed.
Well, I think that that's awesome, and I love what you do, and I love that you are providing this option for our community. And I am so excited, and I hope everyone tries Mayhew's Market. If you don't, tell a friend, or even share this video with a friend, and maybe you guys might come out together and try some fish. It's a really nice time. Christmas is coming up, and he will be out here too, and it will be a nice time to get some shrimp or fish while you get your Christmas tree. So visit CRife's Holistic Nutrition.com. Visit me at CRife's Holistic Services with Purpose on Facebook. Visit me at CRife's Holistic Nutrition on Instagram. Eat something healthy today. Eat some vegetables, eat some fruit, eat some wild caught fish. I might get some today too. And make sure you drink a lot of water. And we'll see you guys. Love you. Bye-bye.